Welcome to Spanish for Beginners. My name is Javier Baez. In this presentation, we're going to talk about lesson 1, the materials, how to use the materials to go through the course. And actually, I'm going to just teach a mini lesson of what we did in lesson number 1 in the previous class. Okay, so let's get started. First, I'm going to tell you a bit more about your instructor. My name is Javier Baez. I'm from Colombia. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, and I've been working as a Spanish teacher and designer for the last 20 years. I also went to Brock University. I speak English, Spanish, and French. Okay. The agenda for today in the class, well, we're going to learn the sounds and structure of Spanish. We're going to learn how to say hello, say your name, basically introducing yourself with good pronunciation. And on top, we're going to learn the numbers that are going to allow us to understand how to learn anything divided in small pieces. And at the end, you should be able to do a small introduction of yourself with good in pronunciation by only saying 4 things: saying hello, saying having greeting, saying your name, say where you're from, and then saying thank you and goodbye. Okay. Let's talk about the materials and where to find them. So if you go to a website, onlinespanishtl.com. Okay, so we are on online Spanish TL courses, Spanish for beginners. In here, you're going to find all the materials and the actual content of the course with the video tutorials, games, quizzes, activities, right? So let me show you what you find in this website. You're going to find the booklets, so you find book number 1, which we're going to be using to learn how to introduce ourselves in Spanish, and our little introduction later on today. Okay. Then on top of that, you're going to see book 1, 2, and 3, and the numbers calculator here, we're going to use to show you how to use something big and make it into small chunks. Okay. The other thing that we're going to show you is the phrase calculator. The whole language, we're going to divide it in sections into those introductory phrases, like, for example, I prefer, yo prefiero, or I like, me gusta. And then the second thing you need to have is some, verb in the original state. Then you have the nouns, which is the what, and then the adjectives with the how, and the adverbs. So you'll be able to form phrases using this calculator. This is the other side of the calculator. Okay. So you would be learning phrases like, for example, I want, yo quiero. Okay. Things like that. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so that's where the materials are. So let's get started with what you'll learn in lesson 1, and is to introduce yourself. So here on the left, you can tell saying hello, saying your name, and we're going to skip. You can also say where you come from and where you live. And then you can close with thank you and goodbye. So here, I'm going to just put this a little bit bigger. The first thing I want to say is hello, so everybody knows how to say hello. I'm just going to put it here, hola. And then right now is the afternoon, so I would say hola, buenas tardes. Then learn to say your name. Mi nombre es, and then you say your name. Mi nombre es Javier. And you need to pronounce the S. Mi nombre es Javier. Third thing is where you from. So yo soy de Colombia. I'm from Colombia. Yo soy de Colombia. In your case, you would say yo soy de Canada. I'm going to put here Colombia. You may say also where you live. Yo vivo en Toronto. So we all live in Toronto, so we're just going to put Toronto here. And at the end, you simply say, nice to meet you, mucho gusto, gracias, and we're going to add adios. So I'm going to repeat the whole story. Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Javier. Yo soy de Colombia. Vivo en Toronto. Mucho gusto. Gracias. Adiós. So the reason we should do an introduction about ourselves is so we can start saying things, moving your mouth, seeing and listening to yourself and motivating yourself. Oh, wow, I can speak, I can say these things, and they're not that hard. And the more you say it, well, the more you remember. Okay, so let me just go back here. Now let's go to the numbers. So the numbers I divided it in 4 panels, 10 to 90, 1 to 9, 11 to 19, and then 101 to 900 and then 1000. I just want to work with the first 2 here, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And so the reason we're going to practice with the numbers is so you learn how to put things together in Spanish, but also get familiarized with the pronunciation, and then we're going to study the pronunciation. Okay, so the first number is, of course, uno. Everybody say uno. And then you say number 2 is dos. See how I pronounce the S? Dos. Number 3, tres. 4 would be cuatro. 5 would be cinco. CI like city, cinco. Number 6 is seis. This one, some people have difficulties with it, so you break it in half. You say se and then is, and then you put it together. Seis. Number 7 would be siete. 8 would be ocho. 9, nueve. And we forget about 0, but 0 is... Okay, so I repeat. Uno, dos, tres. Cuatro, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now we're going to go to the other side. And the first thing we find here is the Y, that means and. The pronunciation of the Y is more like 2 E's in English. You sort of smile and say E, which is the same for the I. We're going to learn later. Okay, so what about number 10? Okay, so number 10 is diez. So if you wanted to say 19, you would say diez y nueve. So that's how it works. So let's go for number 20. Veinte. More like a vein. Veinte. By the way, you can put the Y right into veinte at the end and replace the E, and then you go veinte and jump to the other side. 29. Same thing for treinta. 39. Instead of saying 39, you can say 39. See, for 40, if I don't put the Y there, I will have to say 40 y 9. But you can go faster and look more like a native. 40, 49. So let's go the fast way. 50, 59, 69, 79, 89, and 99. Okay, let's pick another number. Number 1. Let's just go to number 7 here. So number 17 will be diecisiete. 27, 27. 37, 37. 47, 47. 57, 57. 67, 67. 77, 77. 87, 87. 97, 97. All right? For 100 is 100, but 100 is just 100. If you want to go to the other side and say 101, 102, you will have to use another word, which is ciento, 101. So you say ciento, and then you go to the other side, 101. All right, so those are the numbers. Just put it back where it goes. Now, it's evidence that the pronunciation is really important, so I'm going to go to the notes of the class here and show you how to do the vowels, right? The pronunciation lesson is divided in two. First, we study the main sounds. Spanish is a 5-tone language, pentatonic language. So let's study. The first one is A. How do you do it? You open your mouth wide. Ah. Ah. For example, the word water, agua. The second sound from the A position, you go halfway, you go A, E. That's the E sound, the E sound. For example, español. So we have A, E. Now we're gonna close our mouth, smile, and say E. E, as in inglés, English. So we have A, E, I. A, E, I. For the O, all you have to do is make an O ring with your mouth. O, O, as in the word gold, oro, oro. And then for the U, the U sound is more like a small, like a small U, a small O ring. So O, U, as in uno. Okay, so we have A, agua, E, español, I, inglés, O, oro, U, uno. You can practice the sounds by using, for example, letters like the L. And you go la, le, li, lo, lu. Or maybe the M, ma, me, mi, mo, mu. Or maybe the double L. If you have two L's together, it sounds more like Y in yes. Ya, ye, yi, yo, and you. Okay? So that's the pronunciation lesson for today. Okay? One more thing I wanted to show you was how to use the phrase calculator. So for example, if you wanted to say, I prefer something, you would say, yo prefiero. Let's circle that. I prefer, yo prefiero. And maybe you prefer to drink something. Yo prefiero beber. So you connect it there. What is it that you prefer to drink? Well, I prefer to drink coffee, un café. Yo prefiero beber un café. What kind of coffee? Well, I want my coffee to be black, negro. Yo prefiero beber un café negro. And when do you want it? Well, I want it now, ahora, right? So if you know how to read and pronounce it correctly, then you would be able to say these phrases by using your phrase calculator. Okay, so let me repeat it. Yo prefiero beber un café negro ahora. So basically, the Spanish language and any language, you need a starter phrase or something to get you started. So we're going to use yo prefiero, I prefer. Then you may or may not need another verb, like a secondary verb. In this case, verbs in Spanish come in 3 families, and they call infinitives. The endings, the last 2 letters. So beber is an ER verb, right? Trabajar, to work, is an AR verb. Then you say, well, if you prefer to drink, well, what is it that you prefer? So you need to have a noun. A noun in Spanish, or what, are divided into groups, categories. The ones that end in O and the ones that end in A, or masculine or feminine. It's important to mention that the Spanish language originally was like English. All the nouns were neutral, gender neutral. White things will have a gender. So to express that, we use in Spanish the letter O or the letter E. But later we incorporated the letter A for nouns, and that's to address the importance of, addressing feminine things. So now is only masculine for O, or neutral. Many times it's also neutral, and then the A is feminine. Okay, finally we have adjectives, which is the how you want something, and adverbs as when or where. So let me give you an example of how to make your own phrase calculator with this tool that I just showing you now. So suppose you wanted to say I want something, so you go yo quiero. Or maybe if you want to ask somebody, tú quieres. I want and you want. Or do you want? Okay, so yo quiero, and then suppose you want to eat something, so we don't know how to say to eat. We ask, hey, how do you say, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say, ¿cómo se dice to eat? Oh, that's comer. Yeah? Comer, to eat. And what do you want to eat? Well, I want to eat fish, pescado. Fish. You put your favorite food there. Well, how do you want your fish? Well, I want it fried, frito. And when do you want it? Well, I want it now, ahora. Okay, so that's how you build your phrase. And then maybe you can ask somebody, hey, do you want to eat fish? ¿Tú quieres comer pescado? Ahora? And I would respond, sí, yes. Sí is yes. Yo quiero comer pescado ahora. Yo quiero comer pescado frito ahora. So this is how you use the tool. Then you write it down there, and then you forget about it, and then you come back 2 days later and you try to read it. If your pronunciation is good, you can read it. You can also write down the phonetical pronunciation, so you can just read it anytime. But because you know the order in which you have to say things, intro phrase, a verb, noun, adjective, then you can just recall your phrase and say it almost perfectly. ¿Tú quieres comer pescado frito hoy? There you go. So this is a way I recommend that you take notes when you're in class and make your own phrases. Okay, so remember, this is an explanation of how to use the tools to learn better Spanish. And I just went over introducing yourself, which is over here. Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Javier. Yo soy de Colombia. Vivo en Toronto. And I jumped all the way down to mucho gusto. Gracias. Adiós. And we also learned the sounds of Spanish. A, E, I, O, U. Plus the numbers 1 to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if you want to put a bigger number, you just go on the other side and you say, for example, 99, 90, or 99. All right. One more thing maybe you can do here is number 1,000, 1000. So if you wanted to say 5,000, you just say 5,000. That's important if you go to Latin America, where all currencies have the word mil beside it. Mil means 1,000. Right, so for now, that's it. Gracias and adios. Okay? Ciao.